Evening YouTube. Now I'm just having a night in tonight. I'm home alone. My missus has gone out, so I'm having a nice little chill out indoors and just listening to a bit of music and that. And tonight, as you can see on the table, I have got the Pioneer SX-750 connected up to the little Sony bookshelves. Now these bookshelves are Sony SXCP555S. So they're a little two-way bookshelf speaker, and they're not an expensive speaker. If you wanted a pair of these, you'd get a set of these off of the computer pretty cheap. So I've been using them like this on this Pioneer for the last few days. This is what I have been listening to. So last night I just had it running all night as a bit of background music because I was working on another one of them wanted list videos. So I was doing one of them and just playing a bit of music, putting a few different albums through it and that. And I was thinking to myself, you know what? I really like the sound of them Sonys on that Pioneer. Just at like low levels, background music levels. These Sonys really do sound like a good set of speakers on this Pioneer. They do definitely sound a lot better than quite a few like little cheap sets of speakers that I've had over the years. For like little cheap speakers, these Sonys are a good set. Now when I first put them on this Pioneer the other night, I wasn't sure how it was going to work out because I did think this Pioneer might be a bit much for them because it is pretty powerful, this Pioneer. Although it is only rated at 50 watts per channel, it's really powerful for a 50 watt per channel receiver. So I did think it might have had too much power for these Sonys and it might have choked them up. Now what I mean by that is, if your amp is overpowering your speakers, everything can just start sounding a bit thumpy and just not really that good. You lose a lot of the detail out your bass, it starts overpowering the top end, and it's just not a good way to listen to your music. If your amp's too powerful for your speakers, it just doesn't work out that well. And I did think that might have been the case when I put these little Sonys on this Pioneer. But it isn't like that at all. It works out really well, this little combination. The little Sony speakers can really deal with the power of this Pioneer, no problem. Now, I haven't turned it up ridiculously loud because I think this Pioneer would choke these speakers out if you started cranking it right up. I don't think these Sonys could handle that. But at normal volumes and quite loud volumes, I've had it up a little bit, believe me. At them sort of volumes, these Sonys really can handle this Pioneer, no problem. And it's not so much of like a watts thing when your amplifier chokes your speakers. It's more of a size thing, because I have had it before where I've had like little bookshelves rated at like 100 watts and I've put them on a 50 or 60 watt amplifier, but because them speakers are really small, they cannot deal with it. It's just too much for them. They get choked up and they don't sound very good. And tonight, these little Sonys were proper pumping earlier, because when I got home from work, I opened the front door and I could just hear music blaring, and I didn't think it was these Sonys, because it sounded really good and it sounded really loud. And I thought, oh, what's she got running? So then when I came in here, I realised that the Pina Colada Kid has got this little setup going. She has got a big Audio Dynamite CD in it. She has got it cranked right up while she is getting ready to go out. Now, she hasn't got it flat out, but she did have it up louder than I have ever had it. And it did sound pretty decent. Big Audio Dynamite was pumping away. The little Sonys were dealing with it no problem, and the Pina Colada Kid was dancing round and getting ready to go out. So obviously I turned it straight down and said to her, "Watch them little Sony speakers, they are only small, don't blow 'em up." And you know what she did? She poked her tongue out at me and pulled a face. And then she said it wasn't loud. And you have to watch her, she does blow speakers up, 'cause she doesn't realise how loud she has it. 'Cause what she does is, and I bet a lot of people do this, 'cause I've known quite a few people over the years who do this. She puts the music on at a normal sort of volume or a little bit loud. She does tend to have music louder than I do. So she turns it up a little bit, but then every time a song comes on that she likes, she turns it up a little bit more. So if she's in for a whole night listening to something, by the end of the night it is just ridiculously loud. And over the years she has killed a fair few sets of speakers. Not like big floor standers. She's not going loud enough to blow a big set of floor standers, but something small like these Sonys, they're quite easy to blow up if you put too much power through them and have them too loud. So things like these little Sonys, she has blown a few sets up over the years. And a few years back, I had a set of speakers called Mini Max. And what they are basically a rip-off of Rogers LS35As. I think they're made in Bulgaria or somewhere. So someone basically got hold of a set of Rogers LS35As and just made a copy of them. And they was like sold as Minimax speakers. Now I think they are quite rare, 'cause I'd heard about them, but I'd never had a set, and I really wanted to have a listen to a set to see how they compared to a set of Rogers. So I'd spent ages hunting a set down. Every time a set come up on eBay, I was putting a bid in, trying to get them, and then in the end I did get a set. And they got delivered. I set 'em up to a little amplifier. I'd only listened to 'em for about an hour, and then I went out, and her mate was home alone. They had a couple of bottles of wine. They got a little bit carried away, and they blew my Minimax up. So when I got home, I was not very happy, 'cause I had paid a little bit of money for these speakers, and I had actually used them for 1 hour. So I did shout at the pair of them, and I told them to leave my stuff alone, 'cause I had the right ump. And you know what they said? They said they'd been testing out the new speakers, and they wasn't very good 'cause they went pop, and then they both laughed at me. Yeah, I'm still not over that night. I'm scarred for life over the night that her and her mate blew my Minimax up. And I think actually that was the last set of speakers she ever blew up. She hasn't done any since then, so I think she learnt her lesson a little bit, 'cause now if she has her mates round and that, they're always on a big set of floor standers. She won't use like a little set of speakers now, 'cause I did have the right ump. And that's why I shouted at her a little bit tonight when I got in and she had these little tiny Sonys proper pumping. But I'll give it to these Sonys, they did take it well. They wasn't distorting or anything like that. I don't think they was near blowing up, but I just really don't like running little speakers that loud. Especially not when I've got all them big floor standers sitting there. If you want it loud, put the floor standers on. She knows that. That is why I told her off a little bit tonight. But it didn't work, 'cause all she did was pull the face, poked her tongue out at me and laughed. So after that, I've not had 'em back up loud, these little Sonys. Tonight I've just been running them at nice normal volumes. And like I said, they do sound really good at normal volumes. They did sound pretty good when she had 'em cranked right up. For what they are, I keep saying it, let's not get carried away. These are not a £500 set of speakers. These are a very cheap little set of budget bookshelves. And when you look at them like that, you have to be quite impressed with these little Sonys and what they can do, because they have got a really good sound to them. And I think you could quite easily go and spend like 3 times the money on a set of different speakers, and you would end up with something that doesn't sound as good as these little Sonys. Now, I'm not saying these little Sonys are the best cheap speakers that you can buy. I'm not saying that at all, because over the years I have had some really cheap little speakers that sounded really good. So it's not just these Sonys that sound good for the money. There is lots of other little speakers that will deliver a good sound for not a lot of money. But also there is a lot of little speakers out there that make a fairly decent bit of money and they don't actually sound that good. And over the years, I've had quite a lot of set of speakers like that, especially some that really look the part. They're all by wire, they got the gold connections on the back. You get your hands on them, you think, oh, these things are going to be really great. And then you start listening to them and you are very disappointed and you just think they are a total waste of money. And there really is a lot of speakers out there that fall into that category. And that's why I really like these little Sonys, 'cause these are like dirt cheap, but the sound you get from these is decent for what they are. And I love speakers like this. I love speakers that you can get your hands on for no money whatsoever, but you can still get a really good sound out of them. So I do like these little Sonys for the money. If I'd paid a lot of money for these, I'd be disappointed in them. But I haven't. These ones sitting here have cost me a tenner. And for a £10 set of speakers, these little Sonys sound fantastic. Now, I haven't had them on a lot of stuff yet. I've had them on this Pioneer and I've had them on a Sansui 310. And on both of them receivers, these little Sonys have really sounded good for what they are. And like tonight, I've been sitting here, I've been playing some jazz tonight, just having a beer and chilling out on the sofa, listening to a bit of jazz. And like with jazz going through 'em, all that quick change in the music, that change of tempo and all that, these Sonys are dealing with that really good. A lot of speakers can't deal with jazz, especially when it goes quiet and then explodes into them big notes. They can't deal with that, but these Sonys are doing that really well. I've been quite impressed with these tonight with jazz going through 'em, I really have. And then a little while ago, I went and made myself something to eat. So I'm out in the kitchen doing that. So I put a Blues Brothers, the soundtrack from the film. I put that in the CD player and I turned it up a fair bit so I could listen to it while I'm cooking something to eat out in the kitchen. And I'm getting no distortion, no nothing like that. The Sonys are pumping away, they are quite loud and it's just all sounding really good. Whereas a lot of other little speakers like that wouldn't have run the Blues Brothers at the volume I had it earlier without going a bit wrong here and there. But I couldn't hear nothing going wrong with the Sonys on every track on that album. they sounded pretty good, these Sonys. And I had them up so loud while I was in the kitchen that I didn't hear my alarm, because I'd set an alarm because there was a set of monster speaker cables finishing on eBay tonight, and I wanted to have a bid on them because I want to get a few different sets of speaker cables to test out and play around with on the channel. But where I had the Blues Brothers pumping a bit, I never heard my phone alarm going off, and I missed them. So I have set my alarm again because I've got something else finishing. A little receiver finishes in about an hour and a half that I want to have a bid on. And it looks really nice, so I really want to try and get it. So I won't be turning the music up any more tonight, just in case I miss my alarm. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time.